Okay, 2069, good luck. Well, we have actually played before. Nearly 4,000 games, my opponent, really good. If you click your score up there, it'll actually bring the game that you've played previously. Opponent has another 10 seconds to make their first move. Okay, let's play a traditional reti. Amongst the top level games, E3 has become a bit more fashionable now, just to challenge the early D4. I tend to just stick to the traditional reti and go B4, just try and develop. That obviously depends how black plays it. Okay, bishop up. So I think bishop up and E3 is okay, I think. E3. D5 takes. D3 is a move as well. Yeah, let's go D3 first and then G3. Just keep it slow and steady. Because E5 is going to be coming whatever. Or it's likely to anyway. Okay, go C5 first. I think we're okay to take that. Again, we still can't really stop E5, so we're just going to take that. Hope we're not blundering. Now, I've got knight up. He might be just trying to simply collect back. I've got queen up as well. Otherwise, I just want to do this and this. That's what we're aiming for. I think knight up, just get developed, as long as I don't blunder my bishop. So we'll stick to G3 developing castle. We've got queen up if we need a move to guard the bishop. I don't think throwing a check in really gains us anything right now. Pawn is just a long-term target, but we can't really stop E5, so let's not worry about it just yet. Just try and get our king safe. Bishop up castle. Okay, goes pawn up. Can we get some tricks here? Actually, I've just noticed knight across hits the queen and the pawn, and 3 attack it and 2 defend it. The knight across, he can check, can't he? But we've got this. Doesn't quite work for me. But I can do this, yeah. Is that pawn a legitimate target, I'm wondering? But here, castle is fine. Knight across, I think you just throw a check in. And that's a bit awkward, isn't it? Yeah, so let's just develop. It's a bit awkward. Okay, let's castle. But I've maybe got pawn up. Say he plays a natural move like knight up. Actually, if knight up goes now, I just take the pawn. So he can't do that. If he goes here, that's what he's done. But now again, I've got knight across. 3 will attack and 2 will defend. So that might win a pawn for us. Knight over, because now there's no check. The bishop could get loose though, so here, but it's got to be the right move. Hit the queen, and now 3 attack the pawn and only 2 defend it. If we could get rid of that defending bishop, even to say we trade bishops, that would be good. What we don't want is to move this knight and blunder a checkmate. So as long as we're aware of that, it could be winning a pawn here, could be. I suspect I'll need to go with the bishop, not the knight, otherwise, if I go with the knight, I'm walking into potential pins. That might be a bit unnecessary. But let's just see. Yeah, the queen's gone back. Now, if I take with a knight, is there potential for a trick, actually? If you just castle, you protect your bishop, don't you? But I'm just looking at a move like knight across. I suspect he's fine. But if there isn't a trick there, then my bishop is suddenly not guarded. Take. Yeah, I just want to keep it simple. I'm going to take with a bishop. The knight might have been potential for a bit more in the way of tricks, but I just want to keep it relatively simple. So I'm taking back with a knight if he trades. He doesn't have to. He could just castle. Okay, he does trade. But knight across creates a threat, so he's got to guard that. If your queen went here, we'd have a move like knight across. Then there's issues. Maybe you're fine. Maybe you're defending everything, but again, queen across to hit the knight. I think he's fine just castling. I think he is. But have we got any actual tricks here? Okay, if bishop takes, I can take back with my knight. So one guards another. So I assume knight across is a decent move, but it might actually come to absolutely nothing. So queen up just to hit his knight. Where does his knight actually go? If he has to come, maybe he does just simply come forward and he redeploys. Yeah, maybe he does. I could push the pawn up first and then knight here, but knight across is a nuisance move, so I'm going to play it. So I just don't want to blunder. Move the knight forward somewhere and you blunder checkmate, as long as you're aware if there's a threat. If I had h3 in now, I'd be attacking the knight, but I mean, you can still defend it, but it's a threat, it's a nuisance. But I think he can defend moves like queen across or queen back. That's what he's done. So he's inviting knight across, excuse me. And then say you go back. But is there a way to get tricky here? Up, knight down, queen up. If you play back, I've then got to move like knight in, right? It looks interesting anyway, doesn't it? So I'm going to play it just to hit the knight. If knight in, we get a tempo attacking the knight, I think. I've still got knight across a knight back to guard the bishop and challenge. Well, let's just see what he does. I mean, maybe he plays king up, like plays knight across. So queen over is still a move. I guess you just develop. What do we do? What do we do? Knight across is actually an interesting move here. He can't guard everything, can he? I think he's gone wrong. Knight across guards the mate threat. If he takes the knight, I take his queen. If the queen drops back, I assume I just take the bishop. If you take my knight, I take your rook. If you take my bishop, I take your knight here. And I'm winning a pawn, right? So I think he's gone wrong. So I think we play knight across with the double threat. Let's hope I'm calculating it right. But the queen can't guard both threats at the same time. You can drop the queen back to d7, but you can't protect both at the same time. I mean, a pawn's a pawn. It's still a pawn. If we win a pawn and it opens the king's defences a little. So that's what he's done. He's gone d7. So I assume I just take the bishop and then the knight. So if we take the knight first, you take my bishop. I then check, and then I take back. So that would win a piece, at least a temporary piece. So here, you're going to have to take. But it's getting unnecessary, isn't it? It's unnecessary complications. I'm just going to take the bishop, then the knight. I'll throw a check in. Take the pawn. And now we need to try and get our rooks into play if we can, because it could backfire on us this. It could activate the rook for our opponent. Right now, if you move, there's a loose pawn. Our knight should be safe to drop back, but say any position in any game, you can just miss one simple key move and the whole thing's gone. Okay. Do I want to move like queen f3 and get the queen off now? I don't think I do. So I'm wondering whether to just push the pawn forward here. I don't see any quick attack brewing, so I think I should just push the pawn and try and trade off a set of pawns if possible. We could do with the knight dropping back and putting the knight on f3. Yeah, maybe here and here. Knight to d4 to f3 and bring the knight back to the business side could be useful. And then just a simple queen f3 as well. Trade the queens, but then I've got a weaker pawn here, but it could be useful. And we're still a pawn up. But otherwise, I'm just trying to, in principle, push a pawn and trade off a set of pawns somehow. But again, it might activate the black rook, so it might not be good. Okay, so he's dropped his knight back. So yeah, I don't think my knight's really doing anything on this side of the board now. I don't see a big threat coming. So I'm wondering whether I just drop the knight back and back. Do I still push here? But if we imagine we trade off, it's kind of opening the file for my opponent, isn't it? Yeah, so I think I want the knight back. So I'm going to drop the knight back to f3. We've both used about half our time now, but I am about, what, 40 seconds down on the clock. So he's played rook over. Okay, get the knight back to f3 where I was intending to go. So he activates a rook. So what do I want to do? Queen back, then I can retreat. Looks sensible to me. So let's drop back. Yeah, maybe I should have just pushed. Now he's activated a rook. There's no kind of reason not to trade off now. So he's moved his rook across. So does that give us a chance to get forward in somewhere? I guess maybe you just go here. So up now. Pawn takes. What are we going to do? I like the look of rook across, actually. I'm just going to play rook across and maybe rook up depending on what he does. So he's moving almost instantly, isn't he? He's playing crazy fast here. But knight up now, is it a move? Because we hit the queen, we hit the pawn. So queen up. I don't see a follow-up threat, so I'm just going to play rook up. I don't think he'll take, but you never know. Okay, so he's coming in for an actual mate threat, which I just completely overlooked. I guess I've got knight back. Oh, maybe I've just got queen across now. If I don't play queen across now, knight down, but my knight does actually cover, doesn't it? So I guess I'm okay to take. If knight down, I just grab a pawn. Let's get rid of the rook. We're going to try and activate this, but knight down. So I've got queen across first. Queen takes, knight takes should be good for me. We're conceding the file. So do I need to go for the open file first? But my knight guards the immediate mate threat. So I think I need to put the rook on the open file and threaten rook to b8. Knight down, and my knight does cover the immediate knockout threat. That's what he's gone for. But now can't I just grab a pawn? Knight takes, knight takes. So I've got rook up to pin his rook, and I've got queen takes. They're the obvious threats. But queen takes, I've got no follow-up check. So I like the idea of just a simple rook up first. Knight takes, rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes, across. This is if my queen has taken the pawn. It seems fine, but it's a pawn, isn't it, though? It's a pawn. Let's do it. My instincts were to actually play a rook up, but I'm going to try and grab the pawn. I'm getting a bit low on time here, so I'm going to take the material. Actually, I am getting low on. I have 2 minutes down now. Queen back and then rook up if I can. Or I can take the pawn, but then he's covered all the check threats anyway, so I think I want the queen back here, which I can't now do anyhow. Okay. Is rook up an actual threat? I don't think it is. So here I can't go there, or maybe here. Because I'm threatening queen back, and he'll have to trade the queen. And I'm still covering this. If he pushes, I can take. But that's my threat, queen down to force the queen off, and surely that should be better for us. But I am 2 minutes down on the clock, but it feels like he's just played the game a tad bit too quick. Rook up is a big threat. Okay, you can attack a pawn. I think I can simply push. That's what he's done. So I think I just push here. Push, knight down. I think I kind of have to push. Then just rook up looks okay. What about king up? Where's he going? I don't see. Yeah, let's play king up and just chase the knight away. We don't want it in our camp. So he's come forward. Okay, so now I'm going forward. I don't want the knight going there and blocking my rook in. So I just have to be quick enough here. I'm definitely better, but I'm down 2 minutes. It's that risk and reward, speed and quality of play. So I assume I take the middle pawn there, so I hit 2 in one go. So here. I can actually throw a check in, but should I? I don't think I should. I think I should take and just try and collect. Okay, so he's looking at maybe coming down. So check, rook across. Let's play rook across and then try and collect and just drive his rook across. Okay, now I'm going to collect, put the knight on a better square. So let's check. I think we just start running our pawns, I think we do. If he comes too far forward, he might walk into a mating net, but he could be fine. Could be fine. Let's check. Is knight back a move? Is it a move? I'm just looking at knight back here. Here you just take, but then across here, 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 you take the knight. So check. Yeah, I don't want his king there, so I'm just going to throw a check in and maybe rook across. I'm going here just because I threaten a check to get his knight off the board. Only reason I've gone there, but I'm down to a minute, so I might be too low on the clock, but I've got his knight off. Okay, let's push. Even if I lose this pawn, it's not too bad, as long as I can start running. Okay, I've got to go into focus mode. So 5 pawns we've got, it's whether we can use them. Let's give the king a square. That outside pawn doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I think he has to go backwards, I think. Just trying to make sure I don't allow some sort of stalemate, which I could easily do. Now I'm threatening to push. I'll just step up. Okay, I'll push up here. His king can move, so there's no stalemate if he takes. Now we're threatening to check. It's a mate threat, isn't it? So, yeah, even if he sacks down, okay to take, he's got a square. And that's a checkmate. That's a really good win. It felt like he just went a little bit too quick in the early part of the game, but let's see how the engine said we actually played it. Oh, it's already going through the analyzer. 61 moves we played, so what did we actually do? It felt like I played it pretty well there, but it doesn't mean I didn't blunder somewhere. Well, I did play pretty well. 97% accuracy versus 93%. 16 centre pawn loss, my opponent 31. My average is 32, so my opponent just played a game exactly like I normally play an average game. And that's what it looks like. So if you see any of these inaccuracies and mistakes, if you click on them, it'll just take you to where it is in the game. But we just got an early advantage out of the opening here with the queen checker. We just played a simple, sensible chess, and then we managed to gain a pawn here. And obviously, like I said, in your own games, just take your time, but was knight across the best move? Turn the engine on. Yeah, knight h4 looks like it was the best move. Let the green bar run, and that's when it stopped doing its initial thinking. So I found it. So I found the best move there. So it was a pretty good game. So very pleased with that one. Very good.